Now we're going to work in the preparation for the fourth movement, which is called the bridge. And the bridge is, I will explain it to you and I'll show it to you in a second, is remember the natural bended knees, natural bended legs. This is the center of symmetry. We say like between 3 and 4 inches and 6 inches between your toes. This placement varies in relation to the height and the size of your skeleton. So, but you will be able to, you have some range of placement here because you will begin to sense the centralization of your hip, and that will determine the amount of distance between heels and foot. Now, when we go to the bridge, the left leg, which will be the pedestal of the bridge, as I'll show it to you in a second, it will become at the center of symmetry. So if this is the center of symmetry, the heel will be exactly at the center of symmetry. And it is this way. The bridge, the practice of the preparation for the bridge is that the left leg will go to the center of symmetry, which is the center of the pelvis and pelvic floor, and then the right leg or the right ankle will go on top of the knee. And then the left leg and the right knee are slightly rotating inside in order to start creating and expressing the polarity that exists between the pedestal of the bridge and the leg opening through it. In the beginning, if you feel like it's difficult for you to put your ankle at the center of the knee, just come a little bit down here and then let it be there for a while. And here, then you can sense by going here in your feet instead of at the top, you can sense a little bit more the rotation in it. But eventually, the bridge will be exact placement at the center of your knees, because that placement, again, if you create a little tiny bit of pressure with your feet, the heels come out of the floor. And this placement in the bridge right here is very, very, very helpful, because it begins to open more the sacrum, because the rotation between both feet, the pedestal and the upper part of the bridge, it opens the beginning of the pelvis and the beginning of the sacrum, the beginning of the coccyx. All that area begins to really open up and create a space within you, so it's not solid. It's really opening the plates of the skeleton, if you will. Okay? So once you find comfortable with the bridge, you can spend time here in neutral for a while. And then when you're spending time in neutral with your hands, you can check to see if the neck and the head are clear within you. And just breathe. Remember the breath of 10 counts. It's very, 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 very wonderful. Now, when you're here, you can explore a little bit the center of the skull. Because if you go a little bit too much down in the skull this way, you see you will get to say, oh, my throat and my jaw are really starting creating pressure upon the neck and pressure on the top of the head. So just begin to find out how you can release the pressure in the jaw and the neck, and how the center of the back of the skull give you a vertical direction, in this direction, in your mind and the muscles of your face and the placement of the skull on top of the atlas. Yeah? And then after a second, you can come back with one leg, and this leg goes back to the point of symmetry. That leg gets lifted, and then find the placement again. And then once you find the placement, make sure the best you can that the rotation of the left leg and the little rotation of the right leg are equal, so you are at the center of the hip. So you are not like one side of the hip more than another one. So you can lift the hip if you need to, so the center of symmetry is still preserved in it, and then the center of symmetry and the coccyx and the hip becomes the polarity between, in this situation, in this case, the left and the right leg. Okay, so this is the first preparation for the bridge. Now we can go to the second preparation for the bridge. So we go back to one of the legs, in this situation the left leg, because that's the first definition of the bridge. We go up into the defining of the bridge, and remember you can bring the leg closer to your upper leg if you need to, And then from here, I'm going to go to the moon once I finish. You have 4 counts as you did the moon. And now I'm going to open to go to the upper diagonal. And now I want to give you a little detail to it that we didn't talk to you before, but now it's time to apply this detail. Once you begin to move from the moon to the upper diagonal, going into that direction, after you move from the moon like maybe 2 or 3 inches, you will begin to notice that your neck and head are activated. So just begin to feel that the neck and the head are involved in the opening of this diagonal. This diagonal is very good for you because, as I said, it opens the front of your chest and the back of the scapulas, the back of the head, and then this upper diagonal becomes the polarity of your bridge, being open with the left leg and the right leg and extending through you. So when the left leg is the pedestal, you are in the upper diagonal. And then if you want to, just come back very gently to the moon and then descend back to neutral. And then we'll define the other side. You bring in the leg up and you go to the point of symmetry. You touch the symmetry, you lift the leg, you arrive to the bridge. And when you arrive to the bridge, spend a second to know that you are not tilted. The best you can. And even if you want to, you can bring your arms around. Look, your arms around here, touch the back of your hip, and then adjust it, adjust everything. Check the solar plexus, and wonderful. And then you are in the bridge. Now, the second preparation, as I said, is first in the upper diagonal, and now from here, the lower diagonal. So when your right leg is the pedestal and the left leg is the bridge, you're going from the moon to the lower diagonal, right here. And the lower diagonal, it has many little details that I would like to tell you about it. Wonderful. This is another place to relax. Relax means being with yourself and being in the connection of the opening of your chest, the connection of your throat, the connection of your head. And I want you to notice something in my elbows here and in the extension of my arms. I want you to notice that I am not overextending the elbow. I am bending it a little tiny bit in order not to create pressure in the shoulder. Because if I overextend the elbow, the shoulder joint will press into the socket and it will disconnect me from the polarity of the center of my heart. So the opening of the elbow joint, again, the elbow is like a hinge. It is a hinge, actually. This likely opening of it deprive me from the idea of pushing into it and allow the joint of the shoulder and the socket to come from the pectoral muscles and from the scapula, and therefore to open the 2 sides of my chest. Yeah? So I just want you to notice for a second that. And I want you to see that the crown, remember when we practice crown, remember that we told you the crown is in here, the size of crown, and this is an extreme. But the extension of crown is open enough that allow me to engage the rib cage and the neck and shoulders, all the muscle formation through the extension of my being. So I'm just going to close it a little bit so you can feel. You see, if I come in too close to me, right here, you see, then I push the socket in, and then I disconnect it from the natural extension of all of the muscles. So the lower diagonal is an opening of the lower ribs, the neck, the pectoral, the scapula, and the angle in which my elbow is resting in the floor.